A couple of days ago, EA had their quarterly earnings call with investors. This is normally the place that the CEO, Andrew Wilson, and a few other executives, they speak about the performance of their company and they project the performance for the next few months. And it's also a place that you can learn a few extra bits of info about various different franchises that EA owns or licenses, and you can kind of figure out where things might be going over the next few months. And Battlefield 6 got a mention this time in the question and answer section. Now, Battlefield 6, or Battlefield 2021, whatever you want to call it, it's been a topic of discussion for the last few earnings calls, being referred to as the next Battlefield. But it's always coincided with a comment about how Battlefield 5 would be receiving continued support through the year 2020. Now, obviously, things have changed a bit in the last month or so, and that's no longer going to happen. Battlefield 5 support has been ended earlier than I think anyone really expected, but the topic of Battlefield 6, the next Battlefield game, still arose. So if you're interested in Battlefield 6 videos and you're not subscribed, please do consider clicking that subscribe button to stay up to date with everything that's happening. Okay, so, as I said, the first mention of the next Battlefield game, it came in the question and answer section, a question from one of the investors listening to the call. The EA executives didn't talk about Battlefield at any point earlier than that. During the prepared remarks made by the CEO Andrew Wilson, and all of the various financial information from CFO Blake Jorgensen, Battlefield was completely absent. Almost all other franchises were spoken about. FIFA, Madden, The Sims, Apex Legends, Star Wars, they were all mentioned, but Battlefield was completely missing. There were a couple of others as well, but I just thought it was interesting that with Battlefield 5 just having support cancelled and the next one still being so long away, I thought they might mention something about the game's performance, but it seems that they didn't do that. I think it will probably be because the news that support for the latest game in the franchise had just been ended earlier than originally planned might have drawn attention to the game for the wrong kind of reasons. But the question, it came from Matthew Thornton from SunTrust, and he asked the following. You guys have talked a little bit about Battlefield being pushed out to fiscal 22. Wonder if you'd maybe just give us any other colour or comments or thoughts on other kinds of pipeline projects that we can look out for in the out years. So the question itself wasn't directly referring to Battlefield or Battlefield 6, but about the decision to have pushed it into fiscal year 2022, and we now know that the release window of the next Battlefield game is the year 2021. In response, CEO Wilson, he chose to briefly touch on Battlefield directly. I would say Battlefield is progressing very, very well. We're excited by what the team is doing, and again, in the context of the work-at-home environment, they have been truly inspirational in how they've continued to develop great entertainment in the context of our Battlefield universe. I'm excited for when next year comes. So that's a fairly encouraging statement. The next Battlefield game appears to be coming along quite nicely, and as CEO, Andrew Wilson is excited for next year, when the game is likely to be released. That sounds great. However, do we all remember what was said a few years ago about Battlefield 5, when that was the unknown title being developed and it was set to be revealed the following year? I'll refresh your memory because I made a video about it and it's one of the top performing videos on my channel with over 1 million views now. The statement was, Battlefield 2018 is visually stunning and deeply immersive. That's what the EA CEO said about Battlefield 5 in November 2017, so roughly 6 months before the reveal of Battlefield 5. And then look what ended up being revealed at the Battlefield 5 reveal event. I would argue that that reveal trailer was anything but deeply immersive, because what it did was subvert so many things about World War II that we all knew to be correct. So maybe we should take this statement here today about Battlefield 6 and what he said, that things are going very, very well, with a pinch of salt. Maybe a couple of pinches of salt, perhaps. What's worth remembering is why this comment is being made and who it's being made by, and then also who's receiving the comment. The comment is being made because Andrew Wilson failed to mention anything about Battlefield in his main remarks, so a listener had to ask a question about the franchise to get the company to talk about it. And the comment is being made by the CEO of the company that produces Battlefield as a franchise. And of course, it's within their interest to keep investors, the people who this comment went to, confident about the products that earn the company money. At this stage, I'd be confident in speculating that the next Battlefield game is in a very early development state, and most elements of it are still not anywhere near being finished. I'd hope that a core vision of the game and a direction for the game has been solidified in place and has been shared with the development team, so everyone is working towards the same goal, but by and large, the development of the game, that will still be in very early stages. There might have been internal presentations made about the next game to executives and high-level employees to show direction and what the eventual game might end up looking like, but I highly doubt the game is in a playable state just yet. So this statement given today about the progress on the game going very, very well, of course, that's what the CEO is going to say. But we sort of have to take his word for it at the moment because no one else outside of EA has any idea about what's happening with the next Battlefield game. And then again, briefly, Battlefield was mentioned later on in the question and answer section. This time the question came from Andrew Urquhart from Oppenheimer & Co., and they asked the following. With so many different new platforms to launch on, should we expect sort of the cadence between titles to kind of lengthen, and going forwards, kind of dig into the catalogue and find things that either could be brought back to life or remastered? How does the broader platform strategy end up being affected? How should we think about it affecting future game development? A long answer to this came in from the CEO Andrew Wilson, touching on lots of different points, but I'm going to skip to the Battlefield segment for the sake of this video. Here's what he said. And so, as we think about our broader portfolio, you'll continue to see us launch games on an annualized basis. Our sports games would be a good example here. You'll also continue to see us launch games on a multi-year basis. Things like Battlefield, or some of our titles out of Dragon Age, would be a good example of that. You'll continue to see us think about games on a 5 and 6 year time horizon. The Sims, which launched again over 5 years ago and continues to grow every year through extra content and live services, would be a good example. And then you'll see us launch true platform games, like Apex Legends, which we expect will continue to grow over the next decade. So here then, with this answer, you've got a direct confirmation at the moment of Battlefield being classified as a multi-year title for EA, where every couple or every few years, the franchise moves on to a new title after being supported from the launch of the previous one. Now, Battlefield 5 perhaps isn't the greatest example of this, considering support for the game has just been ended earlier than anyone really expected. Even EA expected at the time that they set out their live service plans, but largely this confirms that Battlefield 6 or Battlefield 2021 will be a multi-year title that will launch and then be supported presumably by a live service, because that's what EA is doing for all of their franchises now for some time afterwards. There have been several people saying that the next Battlefield might well be a title approached like some others, where there is no sequel after it, and whatever Battlefield 6 is, it will just evolve over a number of years and it will become this huge title. A little bit like Rainbow Six Siege. There's no end in sight for that game and there's no sequel on the horizon. Ubisoft has already confirmed the game will be supported on the next-gen consoles. Some people are speculating that is what Battlefield 6 will be, but this statement seems to go against that. We can expect Battlefield 6 to launch in 2021, and it'll likely receive 2, maybe 3 years of support afterwards before DICE and EA move on to their next title. So then, another little glimmer there for Battlefield 6. We're still around 12 months away from the reveal of the next game, and some 18 months away from the launch, which is a long time to wait as a Battlefield fan, but I think time is what DICE needs this time around. We all know Battlefield 5 was rushed to launch, and it suffered really badly because of that, in a number of different ways. This time, with a bit more time, DICE has the opportunity to do things properly, and I hope they do land on something great. Thanks very much for watching. Leave me a rating and a comment down below. It is always appreciated, and I'll catch you all in the next one.